Hi, I'm Darren and welcome to New Factory Classics, and today I'm going to break down the finale of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. After that, I will give you my thoughts on what will probably happen in Season 2. Doc Ock is in jail and he's reading the Sokovia Accords, and of course he hates them. He has a visitor though, despite the fact that he doesn't need a lawyer. It turns out that Norman Osborn is here to gloat. Yes, Norman lets his former employee know that he is going to steal all of Doc Ock's inventions. It's a lot easier than paying him to work in his company. Of course, once the inventions are loaded onto the truck, it looks like the 110 and Lonnie are trying to steal them. Yes, it looks like the gang is willing to knock out a few cops in order to get all that free swag. Now, Spider-Man tries to talk his friend out of committing so many crimes and hurting all the cops, but when they're having their conversation, it looks like Scorpion and his gang show up. And it's a pretty brutal fight until the leader of the 110 runs away, leaving Lonnie to grab onto the reins and become the new leader of the 110. During the fight, Lonnie breaks into the back of the Oscorp truck to try and find one of Doc Ock's inventions. He wants to use it to help Spider-Man defeat Scorpion. Unfortunately, he knocks over a canister and it ends up poisoning him. It looks like Tombstone won't just be his nickname soon enough. Yes, Spider-Man has decided to not hold back, just like Norman told him to, and he ends up giving Scorpion a pretty decent fight. And for some reason, Lonnie joins in the battle, and he's actually fairly strong. And his chest is so strong, almost like cement, that Scorpion breaks his tail when trying to stab him. It turns out there may be more to Lonnie than meets the eye. At one point it looks like Lonnie is killed and Peter loses his crap. He ends up trying to kill Scorpion. But Lonnie had survived his accident and he ends up telling his friend to not commit murder. Yes, it's on Peter's shoulders to learn how to hold back his anger when he gets mad. It looks like Tombstone and Spider-Man are actually friends in this universe. Tombstone's gang escapes, Peter becomes the hero of the day, and Scorpion goes to jail. We also find out that Norman is up to some secrets, including the fact that he took some of Peter's blood and he's trying to clone Spider-Man. He's experimenting on a bunch of spiders, trying to create a spider that can create more Spider-Men. Norman's here to introduce his new project, Project Monolith. Yes, all those students that were working for Oscorp were actually secretly all working on the same project. One of them was developing space travel, one of them was developing portals, one of them was developing an infinite power source. And if you combine them all together, they're able to open up portals to any point in the universe. And right before it's turned on, Doctor Strange shows up and he begs Norman not to do this. Norman, of course, ignores this, has his men shoot Doctor Strange, who ends up getting stunned, and he turns on the machine. Yes, Project Monolith opens up, and it's just space. See? Nothing's wrong. Oh, wait a minute. It looks like a symbiote immediately crawls through the portal. Yes, that's right. A Venom-esque symbiote is now on the loose in the middle of the Oscorp building. So Peter and Doctor Strange end up fighting the symbiote, which is way harder than they expected. It's destroying the machine, which is really sucky because that's the only place that they can send it back to. They agree to have Peter fix the machine since he's so smart, and Doctor Strange takes on the symbiote one-on-one. At one point, he opens up a portal to the past, and the symbiote and Doctor Strange travel to places unknown. Well, it turns out that that portal to the past is actually the first episode of this show, when Peter, at that point just a normal human, ran into Doctor Strange and a random symbiote destroying his school. And while that scene unfolds exactly the same as it did in the first episode, one of the spiders that Norman's been working on crawls through the portal, and Peter is bit by a spider that was made from his own blood in the future, causing him to become Spider-Man. Now, personally, I think this creates an infinite loop where there is no way that the original timeline ever existed, but let's not look into this too much. This is a Disney Plus show. Eventually, Doctor Strange and the symbiote come back to the normal timeline. And Peter, of course, has fixed the machine in Project Monolith. They end up fighting it and pushing the symbiote back into its side of the universe. And right before they destroy the machine, closing the portal, just a little bit of the symbiote gets caught and left in this side of the universe. I wonder what will happen with that. Yes, it looks like things are not going well for Norman Osborn, because the police and the news know about all of his bad mistakes and the fact that he opened a portal to somewhere else. So it looks like Norman is officially painted as a villain in the news. Harry, on the other hand, is hanging out with Nico and Peter, and they're trying to figure out what to do next. They still want to experiment, they still want to work with the brightest minds of the students of New York City, but they don't want to work for Oscorp. Well, luckily for them, Harry Osborn is a billionaire himself, and he ends up starting his own company. Specifically, the Worldwide Engineering Brigade, or WEB. Well, that's kind of convenient. And Peter wants to invite all the geniuses that he's met throughout his adventures, including Lonnie. Remember, Lonnie wasn't just a football player, not just the head quarterback, not just the leader of a gang or a supervillain to become Tombstone, he also was pretty good at science himself. But that's right, Lonnie is now the head of the 110, and he has some super abilities. It looks like he is no longer trying to go to college for a football scholarship. He's running a huge gang. Towards the end of the episode, Nico sets up a bunch of candles and she ends up summoning her mom. But one of the biggest twists is that Aunt May visits a jail, and it turns out that Peter's dad is alive. In this universe, Peter's dad committed some sort of crime, which is why she's been watching him. And the season ends with Peter swinging through the streets of New York, just like the ending of all the Spider-Man movies. For now, the citizens of New York know they have a new hero to look out for them, for he is their friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So what will happen to the characters in Season 2? Expect Lonnie to show his full transformation into Tombstone. He's already got the health and the strength. We will see him fully grayed out before the end of that season. Nico will continue to explore her powers, and we may even see what that exactly means. Harry and Norman are going to have an interesting dynamic in Season 2. Theoretically, they're going to have competing companies. While Norman will have way more money and way more power, Harry will have a surprising amount of young blood working for him. Not to mention, when Norman went to go inspect the room that was destroyed during Project Monolith, he found the symbiote crawling on the floor. More than likely, he's just going to be doing experiments. I really don't see Norman becoming Venom to begin with. Maybe it's Harry. I would be very surprised if Norman became Venom instead of just becoming Green Goblin. He had been working on his glider the whole season. I could see Harry having an accident of some sort and it getting on him. Or possibly it just gets on Peter at some point during Season 2. I'm not sure how complicated this show will be. Doc Ock, right before the end credits, was designing his 4 extra arms, so we will see him escape jail very early in the second season. As for Peter, he is learning to explore what it means to be Spider-Man and not controlled by an adult, very similar to how the Spider-Man 4 movie will be in the MCU. And we're going to learn a lot more about Peter's dad. What crime did he commit, and how will Peter find out that his dad is still alive? I believe it's implied that Peter thinks he's dead. Overall, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was an excellent first season, and I'm really looking forward to Season 2. What were your thoughts on the show? Hey, thanks for watching my video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out those other videos on screen now.